Hello, 8th grade intro to algebra students. Welcome to your first video of the year. I hope you have had a great couple of days. It's time to go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. So, a couple reminders. Make sure, top right corner of your notes, it says 8th grade. In the middle, it should say Unit 1, Part 1 notes. As I pointed out in class, most of Try 1 is review from last year, but it's kind of at a quicker pace. So we're taking a whole year, putting it to a trimester. But just to make sure we've got a really good comprehension of that. Also, another reminder, remember, you will not get credit unless your notes are completely done. So if I tell you that you need to try a problem, I expect you to try it. If you need help, I will be more than happy to help you in class, but make sure you at least make an effort. So we're going to start off with order of operations, which is something you've probably been doing for a couple of years now. In the top left here where it says order of operations, I just copied and pasted this out of your book. Okay? So 4 steps for order of operations. The first one is to evaluate expressions inside grouping symbols. 2 is to evaluate powers. 3 is to multiply and divide from left to right. 4 is to add and subtract from left to right. So if you look down, okay, I have the more traditional thing you probably heard on the left, which is PEMDAS. But if you haven't already heard this, we're going to move from PEMDAS to GEMDAS, which doesn't quite work as good. But the reason being, instead of parentheses, we want to think grouping symbols. Because grouping symbols are more than just parentheses. So yes, it could be parentheses, but we could also have brackets. You could have brackets with parentheses on the inside. A fraction bar is actually a form of a grouping symbol. Okay? So there's more grouping symbols than just parentheses. But then the rest is still the same. So E is exponents, M is multiplication, D is division, A is subtraction. Sorry, A is addition, and S is subtraction. Now, this is a good reminder, but what I don't like about this, and what I like a little bit better about what the textbook had, is that multiplication does not come before division. They're on the same level. Addition does not come before subtraction. They're on the same level. Okay? So that's why we say that we're going to do them from left to right. Scrolling down, let's look at a couple examples. So if you look at number 1, I want to go through my steps. So I'm going to look for grouping symbols first. I do have parentheses, but for this example, it's just to separate the two numbers that we're multiplying. So I don't really have grouping symbols. Next step is is exponents. I don't have any exponents. After that, multiplication and division. I do have multiplication. So I'm going to rewrite 58.4 minus, and then I'll multiply 4 times 9.2, which is going to give me 36.8. Now I can subtract those, and I'm going to get 21.6. Please notice that I don't have an equal sign anywhere on here. I'm evaluating expressions. Expressions don't have equals. For number 2, remember I mentioned that a fraction bar is actually a grouping symbol. So I'm going to do the top, I'm going to do the bottom separate, and then I'm going to divide it again. So when I add on top, I get 6.5. When I subtract on the bottom, I get 0.5. And now when I divide 6.5 divided by 0.5, I get 13. Again, no equal signs anywhere on there. If you look at number 3, I start with grouping symbols. I have parentheses. Within the parentheses, I have exponents. So 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Now from the grouping symbols, I need to subtract, which is 8. And then multiplication, 7 times 8 is 56. And then looking at number 4, it's got a little bit more going on here. My first thing is grouping symbols, which I have brackets. So I'm going to go ahead and write the 90 divided by, because that's going to wait. Within the brackets, I have parentheses. So I've got to do the parentheses first, which is going to give me 5 times 9. Now I can do the multiplication that's within those brackets, and I'll get 45. And now I can divide, and I'll get 2. Again, no equal signs anywhere on it. Make sure you have all those written down. If you look at the bottom of the page, it says evaluate the expression when A equals 16, B equals 8, and C equals 7. So now we're just adding a step. Now we need to plug in the numbers for the variables, and then we can do order of operations. So if you look at the first one, I have 8C divided by 4. So I need to plug in 7 for C, just because it says right here, C equals 7. And then I have divided by 4. So order of operations, no grouping symbols, no exponents. I do have multiplication and division. So I need to go left to right. Multiplication is on the left, and then divided by 4 is going to give me 14. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and try number 2. So on this front page, you need to take care of number 2 if you want full credit. Make sure when you come to class, you check your answer for that with the answer key that I'll have in the room for you. So once you've done number 2, you can look at the back, okay? And for number 3, again, I have a fraction bar with the grouping symbol. I need to start by plugging in my variables. So if you look back at the front, A is going to be 16, and C is going to be 7. So I go to the top first, 2 times 16 is 32. On the bottom, 15 minus 7 is 8. When I divide 32 divided by 8, I get 4. Again, no equal signs, because we're working with expressions. Number 4 is pretty complicated, but again, if you just follow all the steps, you'll be fine. So, first thing I need to do is plug in my variables. So, A is 16, C is 7. I just put parentheses there to separate them because I'm multiplying. Brackets, parentheses, 99 minus B is 8, so 8 squared, close parentheses, times 2, close my bracket. So again, a lot going on here. I'm going to start with grouping symbols, which are my brackets. Within my brackets, I have parentheses. Within my parentheses, I have exponents. So the first thing I'm going to do is 8 squared, which is 64. And then I just rewrite everything else. I go back to my brackets, and I go back to my parentheses. 99 minus 64 is 35. 35 times 2. I go back to my brackets. 35 times 2 is 70. So now all I have is multiplication, so I go left to right. 16 times 7 is 112. 112 times 70 is going to give me 7,840. Okay, so again, a lot of steps, but if you just follow the steps, you'll get the right answer. Okay? Make sure you have all that down. Scrolling down, we now have a couple of word problems. So it says you complete a project for your social studies class. There are 3 parts to the project with a total of 100 points. You get 50 out of 50 on part A, 23 out of 25 on part C. The total score is 93. How many points did you get on part B? So I've got 50 on part A, I've got 23 on part C, and I have no idea what I got on B. Now, I want all of this to add up to 93. So what I'm going to say is 93 minus 50 plus 23 is going to give me what I want. So I'm going to do the parentheses first. 50 plus 23 is 73. 93 minus 73 is 20. So I know I got 20 points on part B. For the second word problem, I want you to do your best. Just try it on your own. Again, you have to try to get credit, but I'll help you in class if you don't understand. And then if you look, you have some review problems on the bottom. You're responsible for those as well. Those were reviewed from last year. So on the back side, make sure you get problem 2 done and you get all these review problems done. That's all I got for Unit 1, Part 1.